So around 2 years ago, I was in this season of really trying to figure out my life as it pertains to my occupation and my gift. So here I am, I have this gift of art and creativity, and I found myself as an employee or an occupant of all these job situations. And I took a trip down to Miami to visit my father to just get some clarity on a big decision to step outside of work and become a full-time artist. And I was at my dad's house in this season, just asking the Lord for help and guidance. And my father told me something that I never forget. I think it was actually the thing that gave me permission to go out and jump. And I was telling my dad my situation, and my dad looked at me and he said, "Brian, go be an artist." That's all he said. "Brian, go be an artist." And that hit me in a way in my heart that gave me really the courage to jump outside of my job in the midst of COVID. You know, in scripture, all through scripture, there's so many stories of a father bestowing their blessing upon their children in form of speech or a word spoken. And so I didn't know that I needed my father's blessing. I didn't go to Miami to seek that, but it's what the Lord wanted to do. So on this Father's Day, I just want to honor my own dad for the courage and the boldness to speak that into me. I'm not even sure he knew he was giving me his blessing in saying that, but it's something that the Lord needed to do in my heart. And so, Dad, I love you. Thank you for always following God's heart and being an instrument of his love and grace. And I want to wish you a happy Father's Day. And to all the fathers out there, just remember, the words that we speak as dads land in our children's hearts a little differently.
My father was a huge inspiration to me. He was quite the craftsman. He refinished furniture like this beautiful player piano. He made furniture. And in the latter part of his life, he also got into stained glass, which he was a perfectionist at. He made all kinds of things, kaleidoscopes, sailboats, lamps, you name it. He was busy doing it. One of the things I loved was the fact that my dad and I got to collaborate on a lot of projects. I would design stained glass and he would create them, this being one of my favorites. My house is filled with collaborations he and I did together. I miss him. What an inspiration he was.
My dad has always been a huge supporter of me as an artist. I remember growing up him asking me to commission a lot of different works that we would then hang in our house. I specifically remember him helping me start my own greeting card company when I was a little kid. He would help make copies of the cards for me, and then we would cut them up into smaller sizes so that we could fit them into envelopes. When I was in art school in college, I remember my dad making a lot of trips up to Cleveland to deliver food for starving artists. And he was just always very supportive of me in college as my career progressed as a car designer. And now with Faces of Detroit, he bought actually my first portrait I did of Manny, which kind of got the ball rolling for the portrait sales. And yeah, I don't know what I would do without my father. He's been such a supportive figure in my life.
I'm so blessed to have a dad who's been involved in my life and supportive from earliest days until even now. And I'm glad for him teaching me such a wonderful sense of humor. And I'm just as glad that he's taught me to take that sense of humor and understanding and wisdom into the more serious parts of life too. I'm so proud to say I take after my dad. A lot of the people I've met through doing Faces of Jackson are fathers and their grandfathers. This Father's Day, one story that's sticking out to me was that of Terry. Terry was one of the first people I painted. And when I started talking to him, we started a conversation, and I asked after a conversation if I could paint his portrait, and he said that was fine. But then he asked if I could paint his grandson's. And as we continued talking, I learned that his grandson passed away several years ago. And I learned that this man really had a heart for his family, a heart that had been hurt by this grief. And he's still in close contact with his daughter, the boy's mother, and he brought me a school photo a few weeks later, and I was able to present Terry a while later with his portrait and then give him this portrait of his grandson. And it was such an honor to see this man and his heart for his family and be able to bless all of them, not just Terry.